Hi, welcome to Out and About with Tom and Sherry. Today Sherry's at a conference, so it's Out and About with Tom. I'm at the Tonopah Historic Mining Park, and I'll walk around. It's a pretty neat spot, so here's I'll walk around, show you some stuff. Tonopah was the site of a real big silver discovery, so that's kind of what built Tonopah for a while. Tonopah was the largest city in Nevada. Their discovery happened like right about 1900, 1901. So I'm at the entrance to the mining park. My sense is that this whole park was built primarily by volunteers. It's a pretty neat thing. The entrance to the park's pretty neat. They got this big arch up over the road. And then here's the hours. Summer 9 to 5, winter 8 to 4. They close a little earlier and open a little earlier on 4. They're closed on holidays. And they also have blacksmithing classes here. I took a blacksmithing class a few years ago. It was pretty neat. It was fun. They got good instructors. So anyways, let's go see what's up there. That's pretty neat up there, that head frame. I believe it's called a head frame. And most of that, and then up to the left is kind of a sculpture of a guy dumping at work hard. Most of these ore piles around here were dumped out, as the tour we took the other day described it, 1 ton at a time, just manually taking the ore out, dumping it in the piles. Very little mechanical equipment. There's one pile that we'll show you later that was actually done by mechanical equipment. The rest is just one ton at a time. So ore cart that holds about the volume of a washing machine. So here it is, the $2 billion view. Historians estimate the value of all ore yielded by the Tonopah mines from 1901 to 1921. That's just 20 years at over $2 billion when adjusted for inflation. So then they show some of the mountains here. That off to the far left, that's Brock Mountain. And then Mount Butler. And then here's Brower Mountain. Sherry knows a lot about Brower. I forget the guy's first name, but he did a lot. He owned a block in Crescent City that was a real historic block. Sherry's done a lot of work on that. So then next over, kind of more in the background, that's Lone Mountain, 17 miles away. Miller Mountain up in the distance is 51 miles away. So I think that's the one with that little cloud in front of it. Pilot Peak. Well, that's the Pilot Mountains. They're about 41 miles away. And then Simon Mountain, 48 miles away. And there's another one of those headworks. We'll go see that one. That one's neat over there. So kind of up in the foreground is a track. Bunch of equipment on it. This site tells about the Tonopah mining boom. 1900, Jim Butler stopped at a site known as Tonopah, or Little Water in the Western Shoshone language. He discovered a mine that led to one of the most important mineral finds in the early 20th century. The discovery that revived Nevada. And they talk more about how this deposit of silver was discovered. So, wow, 75 pounds of ore, and it had 640 ounces of silver and $206 in gold to the ton. So, it's pretty good. So, what lies beneath? Here it talks about all the tunnels and stuff that are underground. And, and that tailings pile over there, that was the only one that was constructed using equipment. The rest was people and burros pushing more carts. So, and here you can start to see one of the openings where they mine down. We'll go down and we'll walk across some of those and walk through some of those. They're pretty impressive. This trail leads down to the Burrow Tunnel and the Miss Palm mine. So you need as we get up here. This overlook looks like it just kind of walks, or this bridge looks like it just kind of goes across a little ditch. But as we get up closer, you can see it's a bit more than that. So, cave in some at this point. But you can see the guy that discovered this, Jim Butler, decided he wanted to give just people a chance at making money on this. So the first year that it was available, he leased out areas that people could mine by themselves, and just a common person could make some money on it. I think they got about 750 to $1 million out of it. The individuals that they got their year, they got exclusive rights to their area for a year, and then he sold it to the Tonopah Mining Company. But the agreement was that the people there could keep mining until midnight on December 31st. So take a look off the other side. Got some wood in there to kind of shore things up. Going back through that tunnel. So down to the Burrow Tunnel. Or actually, here, let's look at this first. This talks about how to mine a vertical ore body. What it was cracks in the earth that forced up water, I guess water-laden minerals. That's what it says. So that stope on the left that we just looked down goes down 500 feet. I mean, obviously it's caved in some. So they just mine in there. Sometimes they do some tunnels to get over to it. And then they started constructing the shafts and then kind of cross over to the ore body itself. So, yeah, here it is. The silver deposit is vertical because hot gases and mineralized fluids related to the underlying molten volcanic rock rose to the surface along high angle fractures, so pretty much vertical fractures. Other volcanic processes resulted in lava flows on the surface at the same time. The Stoke Bridge here was built in 2000 with funding from John Livermore, founder of the Tonopah Historic Mining Park Foundation. So all this area around here is volcanic. So, and you can see it on the mountain. And here it talks about the lessees. Jim and Bell devised a plan to handle the rush. They leased parts of the claim, the richest of all, to enthusiast prospectors who measured the areas they chose to excavate at 3 feet per step, marked them with rocks. They never signed a contract. The Butlers never signed a contract with any of them. Simply a verbal agreement for 25% of the profits of the lease produced. They put their names in a book, and the deal was done. This area off to the left, that's one of the stopes, and it was just dug out by hand by the early miners. They dug down 100 feet to dig out the ore. Timbers were placed to keep the holes from collapsing. Later mining took the stopes down to 500 feet, the total depth of the ore body. The depths of the stopes you see. Oh, wow. They took $4 million worth of ore out of Tonopah with so much as a scrap of writing to prove their claims. That's pretty neat, just the verbal agreements. So we'll walk down to the Burrow Tunnel. See, there's another stope over there. This is kind of neat. He talks about jackasses. The miner's most important friend. And you let them, I don't know, be a burden. They deserve, but this kind of helps give the Burrows, Ass, Jack, Jenny, or Janet um, some credit. And so it was a burro. A jackass is a burro crossed with a horse, a mule, or a henny. And they're good at taking long treks over rough ground carrying heavy loads. And some of the folklore, and I don't know if it's true or not, but they can sense precious minerals and they can sense water. So if you're out in the desert prospecting, might be something pretty good to have. And here's the Burrow Tunnel. It's been rebuilt. It's situated on one of Jim Butler's early sites. Well, there's an estimated 46 miles of horizontal tunnels mined at different levels in the Desert Queen, Silvertop, and Miss Promenade alone. There's a picture of Jim Butler and his burro. So this is the restored tunnel. Oh, better keep away from them. Here's the tunnel over to the stope. You can see down there, that goes down 500 feet. So it's kind of, you can see the wood planks down there that people would walk on. So, and then the shoring to keep the sides from caving in. Looks like they just put posts in there and then boards and wedges to hold everything tight. Quite a few pigeons flying around here. So, there you can see one of the old air-powered hammers that they used to drill holes into the side. They would pound in those steel rods, and then they put, I guess, plastic powder in there, blow them up, and knock down another section of wall, and keep going back. So here's a sign about Belle Butler. 19 women couldn't vote, do men's work, or anything like that, but she got involved anyways. And they partner with a young attorney named Tasker Oddie and a prospector, Wills Brower. And there's a street in Reno named after Tasker Oddie. So these are some big Nevada names. They came up with 25 bucks to start work, produced nearly 2 tons of ore, and sent it up by mule team to Austin, Nevada, and then to Salt Lake City, where the smelter would take the silver out. They got 500 bucks, hired workers, and off they went. So I'll walk up over here, this other head frame, and see what's there. This is what they pulled the ore carts up out from underground with. You can see the ore cart on that little cradle. This tells how they do the mining. So here's the shaft going down. Goes down pretty deep. You can't see how far down it goes. So we'll try something that probably every person who comes here does. Go over to the parking lot. Rock. Let's try that again. So drop it. Man, you can't even hear it hit bottom. So that this sign says that shaft who just dropped that rock down is 1,500 feet deep. So pretty deep. No wonder we couldn't hear the rock hit the bottom. Maybe we'll try another one. Maybe we didn't wait long enough. Or maybe it's not loud enough. But anyways, this is kind of neat. This building houses the equipment to hoist this stuff up. And that belt that operates the head frame, the hoist, is actually, it's woven out of steel cable and then coated with rubber or asphalt or something like that. So you can look in here and see some of the equipment. It's interesting. I don't know how well you can see in there, but it's all, yeah, can't really see in there. But it's all electric powered, electric motors powering this stuff. Actually, you can go in here. So back over there, let's walk over there. There's one of the electric motors that powers this. And then this piece of equipment right in front of us is powered by that belt from the electric motor. And this is air compressors built in 1903 to power the equipment, and I don't know, maybe just to push air down there. Here's what that belt looks like. So it's steel cable all woven together. And then these big wheels here, those are what operate the hoist. It looks like big reduction gears, and then the pulley that the cable wraps up around. You can see where the cable wraps on there. So another electric motor. Going through a set of reduction gears. Over to that set of reduction gears to really reduce it. Oh man, look. And there's a bunch of that cable wrapped up on that hoist wheel. So that the flat cable, I guess, wouldn't get bound up or anything. It'd just wind on there real neat. So, and you get a lot more strength out of it given thickness since it's flat. And a bunch of batteries over here. And the controls where the hoist tender would operate the hoist. What does this button do? Let's see what this button does. Oh. On this indicator here, that would tell how far down the end of the hoist was. So, some control here, not sure what that does. But it's a General Electric controller. And these levers is, I guess, how you'd operate the hoist. There's only one belt's left going out there. Oh, there's two of them, you can see it. Second one going up through those little slots. Some little chain hoists to pick up equipment to move it around to work on it. Another hoist. A couple spare electric motors. And then this motor that drives that air compressor. That's a big heavy belt on there. It's kind of neat. Let's walk over there. You can see that T-handle through that opening in the wheel. That's how they'd adjust the belt tension. If it started to slip, tighten it up a little bit. Not sure what this piece of equipment is. You can see the belt wound up on that wheel. And I guess this is for firefighting. It looks like fire hoses. And then a great big tank for a CO2 fire extinguisher. Pretty neat. Another big old air compressor here. Powered by that motor. 2 air compressors. So this thing's kind of neat in the foreground. In the background, you can hear the name whistle. So this is kind of neat, that piece of equipment over there, that long round tube piece of equipment. I think that's a hydraulic miner. And basically it just sprays a big jet of water and washes the dirt down. So it's a pretty clever design. Over here on the right, there's a box you could fill with rocks and weights to counterbalance it. And then you would operate it from that rod up there near the front, and you could actually pivot the end of the nozzle around and direct the water just where you want it. But kind of the cleverest part, I didn't realize it until I looked at it for a minute, but on this backside, you know, the water goes in there. That's where it connects to the water supply. And then on the backside is this basically 180-degree bend, a U-turn. And that would counteract, you know, when you spray a hose, you can feel the hose pushing back. And so something that big, you can really feel the water pushing back. But that 180-degree bend counteracts that force to keep the piece of equipment, the nozzle, from moving around too much. So that's a pretty clever idea. Balance out the forces. So here's the bridge for the Tonopah and Goldfield Railroad. Take it across this gully. And over here, it's the opening to a tunnel. Oh, and they talk about, I guess, it's not a tunnel, it was the powder magazine where they stored their blasting powder. Powder magazine or dugout was built into a slope with only the facade visible in the early days of mining. Talks about Noble, I think it was Alfred Noble, because dynamite's made out of nitroglycerin, which is pretty unstable. If you have a bottle of nitroglycerin and shake it up, it'll blow up. But what he did was he mixed it with clay, and that makes it a lot more stable. So, and then he invented the blasting cap to control the explosion. Here, down here in the corner, it shows the drill pattern they'd use. We were over at the cemetery yesterday, and there was one guy in the cemetery that was killed. I guess he used blasting powder too, along with the dynamite. But he drilled into an existing charge of blasting powder, and it blew up and killed him. So walking around that cemetery is another video, but it's pretty interesting the way some of these people died. So a lot of pneumonia, a lot of diseases, and a whole lot of industrial accidents. So drilling into a powder charge. One guy was killed when he was coming up out of the mine on one of those carts, and the something on the hoist broke, and he was impaled by a shovel handle. So maybe OSHA does make a little sense. So here's some of the equipment they used to turn the rocks into powdered ore. That tall thing in the background is called a stamp mill. And you can see that wheel that would turn, and then those arms that come up that shaft would lift those rods up and down which farther down below had the stamps. And they would just go along all day, just bang, 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 crushing the ore. This over here. You can see how that cone-shaped thing would just, they put the rocks in on the left and it'd go through there, and then as it got powdered up, it'd work its way up through that small. So, so these white rocks here look like gold ore that my dad gave me a bag of when I was a kid. My dad was a doctor, and he had this policy that if he, you got services from him and you couldn't pay him, that was fine. But if you could pay him and didn't, he had a problem with that. But one time he took care of this gold miner who was, out prospecting for gold. I don't know what happened, but the guy had no money, and he couldn't pay my dad, and my he told my dad that, and my dad was, well, just give me some gold ore, and he gave my dad this bag of gold ore. Here, there's some balls for a ball mill. Those steel balls up in the front, they go in that barrel, that tumbler you see in the back, and the whole thing rolls around like a rock tumbler, but those balls just fall down and crush the rocks into powder. So here's a sign for the Grizzly. That's where they'd separate the ore from the more worthless stuff. Well, they hand sorted it. Okay, and so the waste rock they put in one pile, and then the rock that had some silver in it went to another pile. So that guy's transporting, dumping out one quality of rock, and that guy's taking over another quality of rock. Huh, pretty neat. Here's another hoist house, like the one we looked in before. And obviously the head frame off to the right. Wow, this shaft goes down to 1,200 feet. Wow, just a pretty breathtaking view from up here. Wow, worth walking over and taking a look. I'm not sure that words, I'm not sure that words can add anything more to this view. Can't help but wonder what it was like with these mines all going in full operation. The crushers crushing, the head frames going up and down, the hoist pulling people in and out. This is kind of neat over there off in the distance. That's the Crescent Dunes solar project. And that big white area is mirrors. And that ball sticking up is where all the mirrors shine the sun onto, and it heats up water, turns it into steam, runs it through a steam turbine and a generator, and makes electricity. So that's been there, I think, since the early 90s, maybe longer. And it was kind of the original notion to get energy out of solar power. Obviously, now we do it with solar cells and kind of skip the mechanical part of boiling water, turn it into steam, and run it through a turbine, and then spin in a generator. Solar cells, well, photovoltaic cells, convert the sun directly into electricity with no moving parts, and then it goes through another system that converts it to the right voltage and AC at the right frequencies. Kind of just a newer technology. But that Crescent Dunes is still in operation. When you drive by it on a sunny day, the ball is just white. I mean, it hurts your eyes to look at it. It's almost like looking at the sun. So, anyways, really what's in my opinion, just breathtaking views. Wow.
Hi everyone, it's Sherry. Tom got to spend the day out there at the mining park, but we also, as part of a special group, we got to go to the mining park at night. So these are photographs, a lot of the things that Tom showed in his video, the Mizpah head frame here. And then we were able to get in these little ATVs that drove us around and looked into that vertical mine. So we got to look in that, and then went down to the Burrow Tunnel and was able to walk through that at night and look down through there. It was just neat being out there at night. And the moon was out. And there's a picture here. There were a couple guys out there with some very high powered telescopes, and we were able to look at the moon, and they were able to do a very close up. So this is a pretty amazing photograph. So that was really neat to see. And then being able to just view the city lights of Tonopah, really the town lights, I guess you'd say, was just pretty amazing. Everything was just lit up, and it was just a really neat experience to be there at night as well. I hope you enjoyed this video of the Tonopah Historic Mining Park. And we hope that you'll tune in for our next video out at Tonopah. We'll be out at the cemetery. So a few more videos to go about the different areas in Tonopah. Thanks for watching. We hope you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.